Why narcissists come back. After months or years, many people who have experienced a relationship with a narcissist ask the same question. Why do narcissists come back after months or even years? Just when you think the chapter has finally closed, they suddenly appear again. A message, a comment, a casual check-in, sometimes even an apology, and it can be incredibly confusing. You may wonder, did they change? Do they miss me? Do they finally understand what they lost? But the real reason narcissists come back often has very little to do with love or genuine reconciliation. In this video, we're going to explore why narcissists come back after months or years, what they are usually hoping to achieve, and how understanding these patterns can help you protect your peace and move forward. 1. Narcissists rarely see relationships. The same way to understand why narcissists come back, it's important to first understand how narcissistic relationships function. For many people, relationships are built on emotional connection, trust, and mutual respect. But for individuals with strong narcissistic traits, relationships often revolve around validation, attention, and control. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply includes admiration, attention, emotional reactions, validation of their identity. When someone provides this type of emotional supply, they become valuable to the narcissist. Even after the relationship ends, the narcissist may continue remembering the person not necessarily as a loved partner, but as a source that once fulfilled their needs. This is one of the main reasons narcissists sometimes return long after a relationship ends. 2. The concept of hoovering. One of the most well-known behaviors associated with narcissistic relationships is something called hoovering. The term comes from the idea of a vacuum cleaner pulling something back in. Hoovering occurs when a narcissist attempts to pull someone back into their life after distance or separation. This might happen weeks, months, or even years later. Hoovering can take many forms. Sometimes it looks friendly, a casual message saying, "I was just thinking about you." Sometimes it looks emotional, "I miss what we had." Other times it may involve apologies or attempts to revisit the past. But the goal is often the same, to reopen the emotional connection. Once that connection is reopened, the narcissist may regain access to the emotional responses they previously relied on. 3. When narcissists lose other sources of supply. Another reason narcissists come back is because their current sources of attention or validation may have weakened. Narcissistic relationships often follow cycles. New relationships may begin with excitement and admiration, but over time, the same patterns of criticism, manipulation, or conflict may reappear. When the current relationship becomes unstable, the narcissist may look backward. They may remember previous partners who once gave them emotional attention, and they may test whether those connections are still available. This is why some people receive unexpected messages long after the relationship ended. 4. Curiosity and control. Sometimes narcissists come back not because they want to rebuild a relationship, but because they are curious about whether they still have influence. Control plays a significant role in narcissistic behavior. If someone once had emotional power over another person, they may wonder if that power still exists. A message might be sent simply to see. Will they respond? Are they still thinking about me? Do I still affect their emotions? Even a small reaction can confirm that the connection still exists. For the narcissist, this can reinforce a sense of control. 5. They remember the emotional reactions. Narcissists often remember people based on the emotional responses those people once provided. If a person reacted strongly in the past, whether through love, anger, or conflict, the narcissist may remember them as someone who provided intense emotional feedback. Even negative reactions can serve as validation. This is why some narcissists return to people who once cared deeply about them. They remember the emotional intensity, and they may attempt to recreate it. 6. When they see you moving. Another common trigger for narcissists returning is seeing that someone has moved on. If the narcissist notices that their former partner appears happy, confident, or emotionally independent, this can challenge the narcissist's perception of control. They may feel curious about how that change happened. Sometimes they may even attempt to re-enter the person's life to see whether the connection can be reactivated. But often, the person who has done the healing has already developed stronger emotional boundaries, and that changes the dynamic completely. If a narcissist comes back into your life after months or years, it can bring up many emotions: curiosity, confusion, even nostalgia. But understanding the patterns behind narcissistic behavior can help bring clarity. Their return does not necessarily mean they have changed. It often means they are revisiting something that once provided attention, validation, or emotional influence. Your healing journey, however, moves in a different direction. When you focus on rebuilding your confidence, your boundaries, and your emotional well-being, you create a life that is no longer defined by the narcissist's behavior. And sometimes the most powerful response to someone returning after years is simply recognizing that the chapter has already closed, because your peace is more valuable than revisiting the past. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.